Hi everyone, it's Heather, the Butterfly Effect, plant-based weight loss, here with your next episode of How to Take Off 100 Pounds or More. This is episode 3, Preparation is Key. You know that in any endeavor in your life, preparation makes the difference between success and failure. You've probably heard the expression, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. Well, to look at that more positively, if you plan out your program very well, you are much more likely to succeed. And we're going to talk about how you can do that right now. Now, we already took one of the most crucial steps that you can take in preparation for starting a plan to take off 100 pounds or really to do anything. And that is finding your motivation, or really clearly defining your why you are doing this. And if we did that in episode 2, so if you haven't had a chance to watch episode 2 or do that work, I really encourage you to take a moment to take that step. So once we know why we're doing it, then we really want to take all the steps we need to be absolutely prepared for success, so that we take as many steps as possible to just make success inevitable. You know, it's like almost like you can't fail. Okay, so the first step is probably just cleaning out the junk out of your house. Clean out your cabinets, clean out your refrigerator, clean out all the places where you hide your special treats. You know what I'm talking about. How about your freezer? Did you keep your Snicker bars in the freezer like I used to so nobody would find them? All your hiding spots, your desk drawer at work. That was a place where I used to keep things. Also in my car. Do you keep stuff in your car? So clean out all of those places. And what you're going to clean out would be, first of all, anything that isn't a plant food. So as you know, this program is based around a plant-based diet. And so if you have anything that is an animal product, believe me when I tell you that you are better off without it. And we'll talk a lot more about that in upcoming episodes. But for now, just know that if it has an animal product, we don't want it including in this plan. The next thing that you want to look for is any kind of processed food. Now, we all know that crackers and cookies are processed food, but have you ever thought of just like a loaf of bread as being an extremely processed food? But think about it. They took a wheat plant that was growing in a field and they grabbed a lot of it, and then they had to thresh it to get, just the wheat kernels. And then those they ground down, and sometimes they took away the bran and the germ and some, the outer coating on it, and then they milled it down to a flour. Then they mixed it with water and yeast and sugar and salt, and sometimes some kind of animal product. You really have to be careful. And then you went and bought it at a store in a bag. So that's pretty much the definition of a processed food. But a lot of people think, oh, I don't eat processed food, I just eat whole grain bread. So a bowl of like unprocessed oatmeal is very different than a piece of, bread, even if it is whole wheat. So bread would be a processed food. Another food that people don't think of as a processed food, but that is totally a processed food, is oil. And I mean olive oil, coconut oil, corn oil, canola oil, palm oil, whatever oil you're thinking of. Now, I know there's a lot of people who are big fans of coconut oil, and I use coconut oil on my skin, but I don't eat it. And that's because I can't make it in my own kitchen. I can't crack open a coconut and extract the oils from the meat and use that for cooking. The same thing, you've never seen an Italian grandma in the kitchen, making olive oil out of the 45 olives it takes to make every single tablespoon of olive oil. I think that grandma would never leave the kitchen. The other thing is that olive oil uses a lot of very harsh lyes and processing agents to get the olive oil out of the olives, and so it's definitely a processed food. Another processed food is sugar. Now, if you want to eat the 15 inches of sugar cane that it takes to make 1 teaspoon of sugar, you go right ahead. I'm sure it has a lot of fiber and a lot of nutrients in that sugar cane. But sugar is a very processed and refined food, and it doesn't belong in our unprocessed diet. Another thing that doesn't belong in our unprocessed diet is agave nectar. That is actually as bad for you as high fructose corn syrup. And so if you want to have the cactus, go right ahead, but we're not going to use the agave nectar in our plan that we're following. So if you don't know whether or not to have a food, I think it's better off to throw it out. And what we want to replace it with is our next step. So then we want to go shopping. And it's really easy to shop for this kind of lifestyle. Basically, you just ask yourself, is it a plant and is it unprocessed? So you are welcome to have any fruit, vegetable, nut, seed that you want to have, and uncooked beans, uncooked grains, all those things are 100% on the table. Go ahead and get those things. So that makes it pretty simple. You just replace it with good stuff. Wherever possible, fresh fruits and vegetables should make up the bulk of your diet, and then you should complement it with a little bit of starch. That's the way that has been working for me, and I've taken off 170 pounds so far. I fill up on the fruits and vegetables, and I have a little bit of starch, and then like a condiment would be a nut or a seed. So that's the way I'm going to talk about later on. But so we want to make sure that we're buying food frequently. You want to go shopping every 2 to 3 days. Now this is very different from how we shopped when we ate sad food or processed food, because I know people that pride themselves on only going to the store once a month, or at least once a week. When I was a kid, I think my parents did like a weekly shopping trip. The problem is that we're buying lots of produce. We're not buying all these processed foods that have been killed, and then a lot of preservatives added to keep them, quote unquote fresh, to preserve them for a long storage life. The things we're buying don't have a long storage life. We're buying fresh fruit, fresh vegetables. Those things rot. If things rot, then they're okay to put them in your body before they rot, when they're fresh. But if you have food that doesn't rot, it's not food. So it really doesn't belong in your body. So even things like our grains just taste better when they're fresh. So we want to aim to shop every 2 to 3 days. And then the kinds of things that you want to buy are a lot of fruits, a lot of vegetables, and then staples that taste good. The grains and the kind of condiment type of things that you might want to have with your food, the spices. All of those things are good to go. All right. Be prepared to spend a little time on food prep. This is not quick and easy from the freezer to the microwave, but it honestly doesn't have to take very long at all. I have seen, a video where someone made a beautiful raw food salad in like less than 10 minutes. It really doesn't have to take a lot of time, but you should be prepared to do that chopping and blending and all of that yourself, and make that time for yourself. Invest that time in your new life. The other thing that you want to do is make some time for exercise. Now, I am an advocate of exercising first thing in the morning and doing the easiest exercise possible, which is going for a walk. That's because you don't need any special shoes, you don't need any special clothes, it doesn't cost anything, you can do it anywhere, and it's really gentle, so anybody, even if they're really out of shape, can at least do a little bit. And I advocate doing that first thing in the morning because then it's out of the way, you've done it, and you're able to move on in your day. If you don't do it first thing in the morning, then as the day goes by, you could get too busy and it might end up not happening. And you definitely want to invest in your new life by investing in your health and giving yourself the gift of exercise. So just do it in the morning. Just like Nike says, just do it, get it over with, have it done. Another thing that I want to talk about while we're clearing out things, while we're doing our preparation, is please don't have anything fake while you're following this plan. You don't want to have any fake meats. You don't want to have any fake sugars or sweeteners. All of those things are processed foods and they aren't going to be part of this plan. Now, if you're a person who's maybe not willing to or go all in right now or is just not ready to go all in right now, I would just say work toward not using those products. You know, those products were helpful for me at one point, but I have to tell you that times when I've included them while I've been trying to release weight, they have not been helpful. They have slowed my weight loss down. So the kinds of things that you want to include would be beans, sweet potatoes, regular potatoes, brown rice, not white rice in my opinion. All those kinds of things are good starches. I make lots of, split pea soup, a lot of chilies, chili based on beans and vegetables, any kind of, broth based soups with legumes and vegetables are great. All those kinds of things are great, and they don't need the fake meat to taste good. They taste very hearty and yummy all by themselves. Okay. All right, and right now, my garden is flourishing, so I have to prepare a little time to go out there and harvest all the good stuff that I planted. So that's another preparation step that I have. I have to go water my garden, and I have to go harvest my garden and weed my garden, things like that. If you have a garden, you're probably doing that also. We're going to talk later on in this series about how you can grow a little bit of your own food if you don't already do that. I want you to prepare for situations and events, and this involves a technique called pre-eating. Now, it's exactly what it sounds like. You're about to go to a party, or you're going to go out to eat with someone at a restaurant, or you're going to be at an event where they're not going to have unprocessed food for you. You want to eat before. Or another thing that I do is I keep food in the car for times when I get caught without the food that I need. So some things that might be good to keep in your car are, they have canned beans, but they're not canned. They're like in a box in an aseptic cardboard carton. Those things are really great because you don't need a can opener. And sometimes you just need something, and a can of beans, you're not going to regret that. Now, I know what you're saying. Well, hey, that can of beans is a processed food. It is kind of. It only has one ingredient, which is beans and water, and I can make it in my own kitchen. If I can make it in my own kitchen, then I will consider that to be something that I might use. If it's just something really simple, like they canned some beans and put it in a can, I will still use that. So that's an exception. Another thing that you can keep in the car is kale chips or dehydrated foods if you use those. The only dehydrated food I use are kale chips. Lara bars. Again, I don't eat these because they're just kind of too sweet and too much fat for the diet that I choose to eat, but at one point they were lifesavers, and I keep one in my car because one never knows. I mean, it's certainly not the worst choice a person can make. I love this idea of having a little packet of chia seeds. I got that idea from Tanny Raw. You keep a little packet of chia seeds that you can dump into some water and make like some chia water to hold you over till you can get home. That might be the difference between, you know, eating a bunch of stuff you don't want to eat and not eating that stuff. You know, it'll give you a little stick-to-itiveness because it'll take the edge off of that hunger. So that's a great idea. I also sometimes keep fruit that doesn't spoil easily, like apples or not bananas. Apples or oranges you can kind of keep in the car for a couple days without them spoiling. Bananas go bad fast, you know, other soft-skinned fruits go bad quickly, so they're not good candidates for it. But they're awesome for taking along the same day when you know that you're going to eat them quickly. So you prepare in that way. So you can see in every aspect of this, preparation is going to spell the difference between success and failure. So here's your homework. Everybody that's following the plan, go through your cabinets, go through your refrigerator, go through your freezer, go through your hiding place where you keep the really good stuff. Yeah, that hiding place. Go through your drawer in your desk at work, and all that stuff's got to go. If it's not a plant, if it's a processed food, bye-bye, we don't need you. And if you're wondering, how am I going to cook without oil? We're going to cover that later on. Don't worry, you won't miss it. And there's one more thing I want you to think about, and this is your other bit of homework. I want you to think about things that trigger you, because we're going to talk about that in our next episode. And so part of preparation is going to be to clear out those mental triggers. So I want you to start to think about that in preparation for the next installment of how to take off 100 pounds or more. Until then, remember that small changes made very consistently add up to big results. And I wish you very big results. I hope you have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon.